This afternoon we're going to do some maintenance on Eish, the 1996 Toyota RAV4. I've purchased some bits and pieces to replace the old ones and keep this RAV4 rampaging on. In the first couple of years of RAV4 production, the RAV4s came with distributors, including this one from mid-1996. So they need to be maintained, and the parts that I've purchased are a distributor cap, a distributor rotor, a dust seal for the distributor cap, and a distributor housing O-ring. Ini the beninging, I want to say don't do anything that I do. The distributor is located on the side of the engine over here, next to the air filter box, which we'll have to remove to get to it. First, we're going to remove any pesky mosquitoes in the way. Then unclip the wires that attach to the temperature sensor in the airbox. Then unclip the airbox itself. There are 4 clips. And loosen the clamp that attaches the hose to the throttle body. The distributor's job is to distribute high voltage sparks, and nobody likes getting zapped by those. So detach the battery's negative terminal. Now we have some room to do the deed. Unclip the 4-pin plug in front of the cap and untangle the wires. You can use a flathead or a Phillips screwdriver to unthread the 3 bolts fastening the distributor cap down. Once those are out, slowly pull off the distributor cap, leaving the ignition cables attached. You can see the distributor O-ring seal is leaking because there's oil at the bottom of the distributor cap, the old one. Clean the oil off the old cap and then place the old and new cap side by side so that we don't mess up the order of the ignition plugs as we transfer them from the old to the new distributor cap. If you do want to check that the order is correct, the engine cylinders are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right, and the corresponding numbers on the distributor cap are clearly printed there. Installing the new rotor is quite simple. There are some Japanese instructions here, but I have no idea what they say, and I'm sure they're not that important. I am joking. They say in English on the other side, caution, be careful not to touch the edge of the rotor. Please handle carefully. Do not give a shock to the edge of the rotor. Pull the old rotor out with a bit of finger force and push the new rotor in the exact same direction, being careful not to touch the edge. There are 2 bolts keeping the distributor housing in place. Remove them with a 12mm socket, being careful not to lose them to the abyss below. Unplug the 2-pin plug at the back of the distributor housing, then slide the distributor housing out. It will need some cleaning if you have a significant oil leak like Eish has. The old dust seal and the O-ring seal can now be removed, and before you put the new O-ring seal on, make sure you put a drop of fresh oil on it so that it slides in lubricated. This is just good practice in any such scenario. Once your O-ring is lubed, we can move back to the dust seal. I find that adding 2 blobs of RTV silicone gasket maker onto the dust seal keeps it in place. This is not essential, but it is a nice touch. And I marked the direction of the rotor with a white marker. This is also not essential, but it did help me to align the rotor when I put the distributor housing back in place. With the new seals attached, we can now slide the distributor housing back in place. With other old vehicles, this may be a complicated process, but with a 90s RAV4, this is foolproof. You cannot mess this up. The attaching end is asymmetrical. It can only go back in the same way it came out. You can make some minor adjustments to the position of the distributor relative to the rotor in this RAV4 if need be. Once you're happy with the position, tighten down the 2 bolts to 19 Newton meters. Tighten down the 3 bolts for the distributor cap to a snug fit. Reconnect the 4-pin plug. Don't forget the 2-pin plug at the back of the distributor. The airbox. The hose. The sensor. And the battery. Everything keeps going right. Toyota. Let's see about that now.